Before we get rolling on today's episode, we'd like to share a little bit of a thought with you. We tried to find some news.
Operative term, tried.
And all we found was that maybe we don't understand anime as well as we thought we did. Because we sure as hell didn't have much of an idea as to what we were looking at in most of the news sites.
Yeah, most of it was either nothing big or we had absolutely no idea what the hell we were looking at or why the hell anyone would want to watch any of it.
And the more we looked and the more we searched, the more we came to think of a line that we want to share with you today.
Yep.
A line spoken to us by a very wise, very yellow, very senile man.
I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
Hello, welcome to Maison Otaku. Come in, have a seat.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Mike.
We're here to talk to you about anime. Despite our apprehensions.
Yeah.
Most importantly, we're here to talk to you about the anime we like, the anime we don't like, and some of the things in between. Like Moldiver.
Yeah, well, Moldiver's just funny. The series itself isn't, but its existence is.
Yes. We do not mean to imply that Moldiver may actually be amusing or otherwise entertaining. But in terms of things that are entertaining, let's get some news out of the way. Because there is one piece of news we've discovered that's really big.
Yep. Apparently, well, we need a new Lupin series, and they left it up to the Italians.
Yes. I mean, it's still being produced in Japan. It's still Toei and all those guys. And in fact, the director is one of the key animators that worked on Castle of Cagliostro. So we're looking at a high level of quality.
Yep.
But the new Lupin the Third series is not going to debut in Japan, but rather is going to debut in Italy. It's a pretty big thing. I mean, this is one of the big characters. And to see him not starting out with his run in Japan, but rather starting out in Italy, where he is a popular character, is really kind of exciting. This would be like Captain Harlock getting his new series as Albator in France.
Yep.
So, we're all about more Lupin the Third. I'm excited. A woman called Fujiko Mine was exciting. Let's see how this goes. All the same. Weird.
Yeah. That's about it.
It's really about it. We did not have a particularly exciting week off. As a matter of fact, about the only exciting thing was I've actually found a DVD of Once Upon a Time.
Oh, yeah.
Which, of course, if you recall from Mike's recommendation in episode 2 of Windaria, is the only DVD release of Windaria that has the Carl Masick dub.
Which sucks because it has a few minutes of footage taken out, and they changed the name for, I have reasons, I guess.
Just because reasons. Possibly because the folks at ADV were trying to make sure that they differentiated the rearranged film that Masick made out of Windaria from Windaria. Because it even says on the cover, as taken from Windaria. So,
It's still stupid.
yeah, kind of stupid on their part, but, $11.
Yeah.
So, higher end for a used obscure anime DVD, but evidence that it is starting to gain some collectability.
No, definitely.
But we've actually got a good show for you this week.
Yeah. I'm just going to straight up tell you, we've been kind of been putzing around this week getting to do it. We just have not been motivated tonight.
No, this has been one of those nights where we've been talking about anything that isn't getting things done. But we're excited. We're motivated now.
Yep.
So stay tuned. Things will happen, we think.
Pretty much. So we kind of lied to you a bit. There was one more bit of news. Old news, I suppose. It happened in mid-October. As he said previously, we're not really that kind of a show. But, very interestingly, I found out Sunrise is actually partnering with Right Stuff to not only re-release the original Mobile Suit Gundam on DVD, but to also bring us Turn A Gundam for the first time, and possibly a few others.
Now, this is being met between us with both excitement and skepticism, because, generally speaking, announcing that Sunrise or Bandai are going to release Turn A Gundam in the United States is what they do right before they scuttle the whole ship and everything implodes.
Yeah, usually.
Turn A Gundam has been sort of this unicorn for Gundam fans, as opposed to
Gundam Unicorn. Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's an exciting show. It's good news. Turn A is just kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty screwy. But, guess that brings us to today's topic.
It does bring us to today's topic, which starts with Turn A Gundam and how weird it is. Why it's always been this sort of oddball thing for Gundam fans.
Yep.
Really weird, actually. If you didn't get the idea by looking at Turn A Gundam,
yeah.
It wasn't meant to be Gundam.
No. It has a really screwy development history, too. And that's one of the many reasons why it never saw a U.S. release.
Granted, this is moderately apocryphal, but according to legend, Yoshiyuki Tomino did not want it to be a Gundam series and did not want to do another Gundam series.
Yeah. The Sunrise basic... Now, again, as he said, this we can't 100% confirm this, but as the legend goes, Sunrise came up to Tomino and said, look, we need you to do a Gundam series again. And after offering him bags of money, women, whatever, I'm sure.
What drives Tomino, no man has been able to determine.
Yeah.
But it does piss him off.
Yes. Eventually they said, okay, tell you what, if you do this series, we will let you do anything you want. At which point I'm sure he raised an eyebrow and said, anything you say. So we have this far future, like several hundred or several thousand, I forget, years after the original Gundam series that sort of half-assedly tries to tie them all together. Really weird mecha designs done by, of all people, Sid Mead, and that is confirmed.
Yeah.
Who basically took a look at the RX-78 and thought, how can I make this butt ugly?
Yeah, which is oddball. Sid Mead is one of the most significant sci-fi designers of the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, the man is responsible for the look of Blade Runner. So he's massively influential. And Tomino chose him for this.
Yes.
Tomino said, you'll let me do anything? Okay, Sid Mead is my mecha designer.
Yep.
And the results are some of the most striking mecha designs in
the same way that
history.
the F-4 Phantom is a striking-looking fighter.
Yeah, there's kind of that going on. It's bizarre, and everything is bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, the super androgynous main pilot who really actually... And in defense of Tomino, this happened because he wanted another female Gundam pilot. of which we've had very few. And Sunrise, to refute many of the claims that a lot of people have of Tomino being, what's the word I'm looking for?
Misogynist.
Yeah, misogynist. He said, no, we need a female Gundam pilot for this series. And Sunrise flat out told him, and I quote, no one wants a female Gundam pilot.
So he made the girliest guy he could.
Yes. Literally the exact same character design, exact same name, even has him carry a purse, just took the boobs off.
Yeah.
And random just random nudity everywhere, and it's not even sexual, it's just every chance he gets he shows naked people.
Yeah. Everything is screwball. Turn A Gundam devours technology.
Yes.
We don't really know where he was going with it. There's new type dolphins. There's these twin princesses.
Yeah, the twin princesses.
A clown who murders everyone and wears a panda makeup.
Well, then there's the fact that this happens. It's so far future that there was a technological breakdown, and they're basically back on Earth. They're in the midst of a second industrial revolution. At least in the beginning of the series, and the main pilots come from the moon, where they're known as the moon race, and they have, as opposed to down on Earth, they have, mobile suits, and all their mobile suits have, eye fields and the whole 9 yards. So you have these advanced mechs that would kick the RX-78's ass fighting biplanes and steam trains. With predictable results.
Yeah. It's kind of hysterical. It does actually tell a fairly serious story.
Yes. It's a lot better than it sounds.
Yeah, it's good.
But that's the funny thing. Tomino, now again, we can't confirm this, but the legend goes, Tomino made it this way because he wanted Gundam to die. Yeah. You have to understand, Tomino, he hates Gundam, he hates Gundam fans, and more than anything else, he hates being known as the Gundam guy. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to jump the shark, but fans ate it up.
Yeah. And truthfully, we do.
Yeah.
Because it's so absurd, it's so ridiculous, and yet it's still so well done. I mean, it's got a Yoko Kanno soundtrack, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
They gave him absolutely everything he asked for at every point where he thought, well, this is the unreasonable demand that's going to make them stop. And he gave them this fever dream of a show.
It's a lot like that, you know what it reminds me of? That one movie version of Dune that never got made. That was going to have, not Sid Mead,
Ralph McQuarrie.
Yeah.
As the artist and everything. Yeah, it's just, here's everything you could ever ask for, and it never happens. And it's interesting because why they would do this for Tomino, I feel, is pretty much the whole reason why we're talking about Gundam in the first place. And that's because Gundam's important.
Yes.
Gundam is important. Not necessarily extraordinarily important to Mike and I. I mean, Mike, you definitely don't have Gundam as your favorite real Robo series.
Yeah, I will say overall I'm more a Macross guy. As you can see, I kind of have a bit of both, but main thing Macross has, because it's had a lot fewer series, it's also had a lot fewer bad series.
Yes.
In fact, until the late 90s, you could really say it never had a bad series. If you ask me.
If you ask Mike. And I'm an Armored Trooper Votoms guy. There's no such thing as bad Armored Trooper Votoms.
No, there was Pulse and Files. I mean, granted, I liked it, but...
Pulse and Files was a story arc, not a series. And it was completely acceptable within the sphere of the events of the show.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not the one you have to convince.
It's okay. They don't... Yeah, they're just listening to me talk about Armored Trooper Votoms and going, the hell?
Yeah.
Scope Dogs. They're awesome.
Yes.
Watch you some.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. We are not Gundam fans chiefly in the real robot mecha genre. Subgenre. But we are fans of that particular subgenre. tremendously.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the fact of the matter is, without Mobile Suit Gundam, you don't get that subgenre. It really more or less founded it.
Yes.
Even with its primary color samurai. You can definitely tell, even in its most recent iterations, it has its roots in Super Mech. But it's sort of that transitionary species.
Absolutely.
It is the lungfish.
The lungfish of anime.
Yes.
There you go, Yoshiyuki Tomino. You have created a lungfish. We love Gundam because of what it offered. Because so much of what happened in anime from 1979 onwards comes out of the success of this show.
Mm.
You get Macross. If you don't get Macross, you don't get Robotech. If you don't get Robotech, you don't get the American fandom breakthrough. If you don't get the American fandom breakthrough, you don't get the licensing money going back to Japan to finance the creation of so much production, which in turn led to the DVD boom of the early 2000s.
Which in turn saved the PS2.
Saved the PS2. And also led to the explosion of the fandom because the DVD boom was matched by the broadcast boom. Furthermore, what saved anime in this country from being dominated by the likes of Saban, Deke, and Viz was that Gundam Wing, the successor, a long way down the line, gave Bandai a highly coveted broadcast slot that further expanded the fandom, and
leading full circle was most of our exposure to Gundam, mine included.
So it's always been this important thing. And we love it for that. We love Gundam for what it represents to the hobby, to the art form.
Well, and to the storytelling aspect. As I said, having its, being the transition from Super Mech. Before it was, okay, a giant robot is another kind of superhero / deity.
Yes.
Now, with the real mech genre, it was the leap to a giant robot is really just a slightly unnecessary piece of military hardware.
It's kind of funny, too, because we are seeing the thought processes of two larger-than-life creators in anime. Go Nagai brought us the giant Robo as we know it. Yoshiyuki Tomino brought us the real Robo as we know it. And between these two guys, we have this wonderful template that led to your Evangelions, your how the hell do you say Gurren Lagann?
Yeah.
I was trying to say the whole name. I'm not going to bother. Your Gurren Laganns, your Razafons, your Full Metal Panics. All this comes out of Gundam and Giant Robo.
Yep.
You can't fault it for being significant, even if you can fault it for
Seed.
But we're going to talk about some Gundam you haven't seen.
Yep.
Because what's more interesting? Rehashing old victories or turning over some forgotten gems? This is a picture of the various Gundam series. Now, we're going to ask the Gundam series that have not been licensed to please go away for a moment. The remaining Gundam series can be seen. But what if you would like to see the Gundam series that went away? The obscure ones? Stay tuned, and we will give you a public service announcement about Gundams that need to be seen. Lots of weird stuff in Gundam. Lots of forgotten stuff in Gundam. Lots of Gundam.
Yeah. Yeah, you may recall in our rehash episode, the quick scroll of all the different series. That's not even all inclusive.
No. But the nice thing about Gundam is just how much there is means there's always a chance for you to discover something new, something you might have overlooked. Especially considering Bandai did a really crappy job of bringing it all over here stateside.
Yep.
No matter what they promised us.
And while a lot of this stuff is and has been readily available on fan subs, HK DVDs, stuff like that, we're going to go over a few of them that you may not have seen if you weren't into that.
Mm-hmm. And we'll start with the Universal Sentry, which is always a good place to start. Damn straight. Drop a colony on your ass.
Yep. Actually, yeah, probably start with the most Tomino of them.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, fittingly, actually, I would say fittingly enough with Tomino, the arguably most depressing Gundam series easily has the most upbeat theme song.
Yeah. Zeta Gundam is pretty miserable at times.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Victory Gundam. And Victory Gundam decided, f*** your balls, with a hammer. Just endless depression,
Yeah.
endless unhappiness, just because there's a kid, and he's a kid. This is different from the teenage pilot.
Yeah,
we typically get.
the main pilot, Uso, I believe his name is the youngest Gundam pilot ever. I think he's only like 12 years old.
12 or 11. And he's just a kid. And all he wants is a mom.
Yeah, and more to the point, he is not the, highly trained child soldier characters that we have in Wing. This is literally a kid who just so happens to be good at piloting mechs.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, he's plucky, he's friendly, he's the sort of kid you want to root for. And everybody's got this really quasi-cartoonish character design that makes it all the more friendly appearing.
Yeah, it's almost World Masterpiece Theater.
Just a little bit.
Yes, think slightly more detailed World Masterpiece Theater character designs. That's what we're looking at in Victory Gundam.
Yes. And the mecha designs reflect that too, because there's a little bit more bulbous style to them, very Okawara inflated.
Yep.
So you have that look, and you have that upbeat theme, and you have the plucky kid who just wants a mom.
Yep.
And they keep giving him one
Yeah.
and killing her.
Yeah. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I don't think any of you are going to watch this anyway, so who cares? Yes, he finds that mother character in each of the members of, I believe it's called the Shrike Corps.
Yes.
A group of elite all-female pilots. Unfortunately, they suck at staying alive. By about, I think, at the three-quarter point through the series, they've all been systematically killed off.
It's wow.
And then we won't even tell you what. But just wait till he actually finds his mother.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's that typical Tomino brutality that he really likes. Tomino likes it when you like a character. You're invested in a character. You appreciate everything that character represents. And instead of killing them in a way you could see coming, instead of killing them in a way that gives you a chance to mourn with the other characters, he just
Squish, yeah. And that's one point I want to bring up about all good Gundam series, because Gundam, at its core, is a war drama more than anything else. And as with any proper war drama, main characters will die abrupt, tragic, and often meaningless deaths. Tomino understands this, and that's why we love him.
Yes. Even when he does a series with a Gundam motorcycle, like Double Zeta.
Oh man, there's
the flip
well, at
side
least it's not like Victory where they had motorcycle fortresses.
It's the man's either bipolar or trolling on a level so high we have not yet begun to fathom it.
Yeah, as he said, Zeta was like really this, down, dark thing. And it's funny because Double Zeta, one of the things it does right is it picks, as a sequel series, it picks off like minutes after the end of Zeta.
Yes.
And despite that fact, it is easily the most lighthearted Gundam series, at least the first half of it. It's crazy, kiddie, fun mecha time.
It is. It's a team of young pilots, and they're all so happy to be helping the Federation.
Yeah, if they had slapped a lion head on the double Zeta's chest, this would have been a Brave series.
Absolutely. And it's goofy. It is really goofy. It makes just, like, fist-clenching, fist-shaking villains out of everyone in Neo
It's
Zeon.
very Saturday morning cartoon.
And yet it's so pivotal.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing to keep in mind. Halfway through the series, it starts taking itself seriously. Like, okay, we've kind of like we did tonight. Okay, we've around enough. It's time to get going. Once they shift the opening theme from Anime Janai to silent voice, shit gets serious.
It does. And then we get all these events crammed into the back end of the series that set up Char's counterattack, which is perfect.
Yeah.
No, I'm not f***ing with you. Char's counterattack is perfect. I mean, even with Quest Pariah in the mix, Char's counterattack is perfect.
Okay.
They don't know.
Yeah, I know.
It was on Toonami Midnight Run, and you still don't know.
Yep. Now for something completely different, we move to one of my favorites. As I've mentioned multiple times, Gundam X. We've talked about it briefly in our previous episode. It's if Gundam Wing had done Universal Century, is literally what it is, even down to some of the character and mecha designs.
Absolutely. It's fantastic, really. It's got one of the best Gundam themes. It's a very exciting theme. Very exciting ideas.
Yeah.
The idea of new type persecution is really crazy. It's the only one of the non-Universal Century series that even deals with the idea of new types.
Yeah, instead of just like being, oh, well, we have this compute. Yeah, for those of you who've only watched Wing, a new type is someone who can naturally do what Hero needed the Zero system to do.
Yes. Without the psychotropic freakouts.
Mm-hmm. Well, mostly.
Yeah, what's his face from everything?
Yeah.
There's always the one new type character that goes off the deep end. Like, my personal favorite of all of them was Rosamia Badam from Zeta, who was tragic and kind of hot.
But yeah, like you always have some of those, but yeah, Gundam X, it's like as we mentioned, it's kind of, despite Wing being the better series, I definitely enjoyed X more. As you worded it, it does so many things right. It's easy to forgive a lot of the things that it does wrong, and there are parts where just you can tell it's kind of not taking itself seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it's got that sort of after-war Gundam Mad Max thing going on sometimes.
Yeah, but then
But that's a cool idea.
Exactly. Yeah, it is literally Mad Max with mobile suits.
If you can find something wrong with that, please write to go f*** yourself with a rake.
Yes. But main thing is, I liked some of the characters in Wing, but a lot of them left me cold and others annoyed the shit out of me. I can't, even aside from the Frost brothers, and I'll go into why I don't like them in a briefly, but aside from those two in X, every character I either liked right off the bat, or if I didn't like them right away, I came to like them by the end. Mm-hmm. They're just, and that's where it shines over Wing. Wing is a much more, Wing is like Zeta Gundam, where it's much more about the political story, whereas X is more like original Gundam, where it's more about the story at the character level.
Yes.
However, getting to that, spoiler alert, I don't care. Here's why the Frost Brothers suck. They started out as Saturday morning cartoon villains, so I already didn't like them. But then they do this thing where it set it up, oh, they're working for, the remnants of the Federation, and they're actually officers, and that whole Saturday morning cartoon villain thing was just a ruse they're putting on to fool everyone who isn't part of the Federation. I'm like, they just became interesting. And then near the end, they throw that out. No, actually, we're doing this to get revenge on everyone because we're weak new types and they rejected us, so f*** the world. And it's great because at the end, in the end battle, they're saying this, and the main character's like, God, you want me to call you a wambulance?
Yeah. They're really terrible villains or antagonists. Take your pick because they kind of float between either title.
Mm-hmm.
For a great show.
Yes.
And it is a great show that got canceled.
Yeah, the only Gundam series to get canceled. Though I will have to give it, for being canceled, they were able to cobble together a pretty decent ending.
Yes. So it is a complete show. You're not missing anything, just what they might have...
Yeah, they might have went
thing
into a little more detail in the end battle, basically.
But, so we've covered Universal Century in both tragedy and humor.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered alternate history in character drama. Let's talk about some mecha porn.
Yes, yes. Well, I think we should start there with the Gundam Evolve OVAs.
Oh, yes.
These are, if you don't know Gundam Evolve, you can find most of them on YouTube, actually. These are little, I guess vignettes would be the term. All but the first one are like 3D CGI, but it's like, most of it's the good kind of 3D CGI. And it's all dealing with either a retelling or an addition to an existing Gundam series.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like some of the redesign, because like even in stuff where it's supposed to take place in the same series, they completely redesigned some of the mechs. They actually make Strike look good.
Yes. And they bring in an all-star cast of design. I mean, Kotoki worked overtime on a lot of this, and it was awesome.
Oh, and there are Evolve versions of some of the kits, of some of the mechs, available in kit form, I mean to say. If you find the Evolve redesign of the RX-78, get it. It is beautiful.
It is. But that's exactly what we're talking about when we say mecha porn. It's there just for the sort of folks who are like, oh, and did you see the way that this operated? And do you see how they added this? It's for the kit builder. It's for the design. None of what they do really adds to or builds upon the existing story. It's just there.
Well, I would disagree slightly. You may be able to say it doesn't add to it, but I will say a lot of it does actually stand out surprisingly strongly on its own. Especially my two favorite ones. Well, we mentioned, Char's counterattack with Quest Pariah. She's basically what you would have got if Shinji and Asuka had a baby and she was a new type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's...
Yeah. Exactly. So she just and it's great because they put her in this big, crazy, powerful mobile armor, and in the last battle, she just gets one hit killed by Amuro's girlfriend. And it's just so abrupt, you have no time to appreciate just how tragic her death was.
Especially considering you spend the whole movie hoping somebody would just do that.
Yeah, and then you're like, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Wow.
But, episode 5, I believe, has this great thing where they completely redo the whole thing. By the way, the Evolve redesign of the RX-93 New Gundam is sex.
Really is. I mean, RX-93 was already one of the best of the Gundam designs. Fairly inarguably.
Yep. But there's just this moment where Quest is about to kill Hathaway, and Amuro's like, man, I gotta stop this shit. So he zips over there, leaves the main battle, and basically, in addition to having sort of a mental new type battle, he verbally bright slaps her, and she, instead of just dying needlessly, has a moment of personal growth. Or then you, of course, now, definitely doesn't add anything to Zeta Gundam, but you have episode 9, which is my number 1 favorite, because despite being a 15-minute short story that doesn't exist in anything else, it has my favorite Gundam pilot, and yes, that's just how obscure my tastes are.
They really...
But,
if you haven't figured that out by now.
Yeah. Yuria Jisa. Just... You want an awesome female Gundam pilot that isn't Christina McKenzie.
There you are. And Evolve was great like that. But it was fluff.
Yeah, it was definitely
great fluff.
Mm-hmm.
Igloo was a lot like that too.
Yeah, MS Igloo. There's 3 series. The first 2 are, well, 1 and 2 are a continuation of each other. Shows the 1-year war from the perspective of Zeon, specifically a special weapons development. So you know all those crazy, goofy prototypes Zeon was always coming up with?
Zigok!
Yeah. Yeah.
I like Zigok.
Zeon's cool.
Zigok, cool.
But, yeah, it follows that, and then the second MS Igloo series, which is MS Igloo 2, because the first 2 are, like I said, technically the same series, they shift back to Federation, but a lot of it's the story of this is before the... Well, there's 3 episodes. Episodes 1 and 2 are this is before the Federation had mobile suits.
Yeah. You know, when the Federation was getting their ass handed to them and scrambling to come up with an idea that would save them. So it was really great filling in the gaps, which is something all the great Gundam OAVs really do, is they take the 1-year war and the events after the 1-year war and the events leading up to the 1-year war and the events far, far after the 1-year war and say, we better explain some of this.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, that's how you get 0080. That's how you get 0083. That's how you get Unicorn. That's how you get 08th MS Team.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good stuff came from the idea of taking the underlying ideas of Gundam that Tomino set forth and just expanding upon them. And sometimes you expand so far upon Gundam that it turns into wacky races.
Yes. Yeah, that's... Well, it's SD Gundam. The hell do you expect?
I don't expect it to be that good, actually. SD Gundam gets a bad rap in the States primarily because of the god-awful CG cartoon.
Yeah, SD Gundam Force, which I think here was just called Superior Defenders.
Yes.
Good going localization.
It was terrible. It was really terrible.
What, you don't like the
But-
Zaku Zaku Hour?
No.
Nor should you.
But Gundam Wacky Races is exactly everything that you hear that phrase and think
Yes,
it's going to be.
it is exactly that.
I mean, Bright, yeah, imagine this, Chibi Bright,
It was already great.
yeah, already great, commanding a legion of Chibi GMs, pulling him around on a dog sled.
Yep.
There you go.
He's not making any of this up.
No. The whole of it is just so ridiculous. And Tomino actually signed up. Tomino thought this was a great idea.
Yeah.
He was totally thrilled with it. And rightfully so. You can find fan subs of it, and you should absolutely take a moment and watch it, especially when you see that they flat out made Dick Dastardly and Muttley.
Yes, they basically did.
It's
Yeah, they don't. They just do not give a crap too. It's like I remember one of the earlier SD Gundam shorts. They had all the different female characters from all the series that have been made so far, just sort of like parading around while like horny fucking Gundams drool over them. And it's funny because they even have the dead ones, and they have like the little Casper the Ghost tails. So you see fucking dead Lala in this conga line of Gundam girls. It's hilarious.
It is. The classic SD Gundam is so sublimely ridiculous. It is traditionally cartoon ridiculous, using so many of the old Hanna-Barbera tropes.
Mm-hmm.
The old, those guys with Popeye and...
Oh yeah.
You know who I'm talking about. Mike, put it at the bottom of the screen so that they know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's all so great because it's really paying homage to where most of these guys got their cartoon inspiration. You know, there's Disney tropes in there. There's any gag they could throw at you.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of classic Japanese humor, a lot of traditional puns and so forth. It's great. It's a chance to take all the recognizable bits of Gundam Flotsam and Jetsam and just say, hey, remember when we were taking this so seriously?
Yep.
So, there you go.
And yeah, we didn't even. There's still a bunch of stuff out there that we didn't even touch upon.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
you have, Well, I will say this: Gundam turning into wacky racers is still a damn sight better than it turning into stupid freaking Metabots, aka Gunpla builders.
Yeah. And no matter what negative I could say about this whole list of stuff we've described, at least none of it has Hisashi Hirai character designs like Seed.
Yeah. Or writing like Seed, or the fact that Seed is basically the Macross frontier of Gundam, where it exists only to sell model kits and soundtrack CDs, and idol concert tickets, and why did you people keep buying this crap?
Yeah. I mean, we can't really talk that much crap about it because we're both 0083 fans, and by saying you are a fan of 0083, what you're actually saying is you're a fan of Hajime Katoki mecha designs.
Yeah, I still liked the story and characters in that.
I like the story and characters in that too.
I mean, the only thing I can talk smack about the writing in 0083 is the Ko-Gato Nina love triangle made no sense and was totally shoehorned in.
It was very last minute. Wait. You two were... Yes. When?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It really is that bad, but everything else about 0083 is awesome.
Yes. And Men of Destiny and the winner are the best.
Yes.
So, yeah. Just go watch 0083. Forget everything else we
Yeah.
recommended.
Yeah. That's the advice we can give you.
Mike,
Yeah.
letter time.
Ah, cool. A nice change of pace from them listening to us drone on and on.
We do that.
Yes.
This one's from John Richards in Dayton. You think he's looking at airplanes right now?
I'd be willing to bet, yeah.
Because that's what I'd do if I were in Dayton. Alright. John, this is Mike and Justin. Why do people keep saying Mike and Justin?
I'm just that cool, I guess. I don't know.
You're not. But anyway, Justin and Mike. Is there a particular director that you feel consistently delivers good films that isn't Miyazaki? I need a bet settled.
Good question.
Good question. I'd start by saying that Miyazaki isn't quite so faultless, but then we'll be arguing here for hours.
Yes. Well, I mean, Otomo.
Otomo. Yeah. Katsuhiro Otomo.
I mean, definitely he kind of... I don't even really want to call it a mistake, because it's not, but he did that thing where his first thing he's never... film-wise that he directed, he's never really been able to top.
Yeah. He hasn't been able to top Akira.
But to be fair, at least in my humble opinion, the entirety of the animation industry worldwide hasn't been able to top that. So
Yeah. That's
hardly
like,
his fault.
You know, we don't fault Orson Welles for not having a great follow-up to Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Otomo's still hanging tough on Akira. But Steam Boy was great.
Yes, Steam Boy was good.
Memories was good. His contribution.
Oddly, Memories is one of the first short of Memories is one of the few Satoshi Kon things I like.
Yeah. His contribution to Robot Carnival was fantastic.
Oh, definitely.
Raujin Z.
You cannot forget Raujin Z. That's awesome.
So, Otomo's a great card to play if you're saying, here's a guy. Perfect.
Yep.
And
not like primarily a director by trade. It's just he's more a mangaka than anything, but he also throws his hat in the directing ring.
Yes. We could say Mamoru Oshii, but be forewarned, how good Oshii's work is does not necessarily translate into how enjoyable Oshii's work is.
His stuff is definitely great, but even I will admit, when I went to see Jinro the Wolf Brigade in theaters, I kind of fell asleep halfway through it. Mind you, I was very tired that night, but still.
I, on the other hand, found Jinro riveting, but at the same time, it is one of the most difficult pieces of animation to get through because it's very personal, it's very intimate, but it's not personal or intimate in any of the good ways.
Yeah.
It's very much preying on some of your bigger fears about people in power, which is, a very typical Oshii thing.
Well, also, some of the newer, like, more indie and short film stuff he does is you can tell he's been sipping the Clorox.
Yes. Finally, I was going to recommend Kunihiko Ikuhara. Ikuhara's done some fantastic work. First off, guy directed Sailor Moon, which that sounds like a bad thing, but when you really get down to it, being able to keep a consistent visual theme together for that long across that many different series is a tricky thing to do, and he pulls it off very well. More than that, the guy did Nodame Contemplate, which is a very, very pretty music series. And then his big breakout directorial work was Revolutionary Girl Utena, especially the film Adolescence of Utena, which is visually one of the best pieces out there. But one thing keeps me from recommending him. He did Die Buster.
So, f*** him.
Yeah. But there you are. There's a great selection. And there are a lot of folks that you can point out. They're not on every time. They have their misses, but they hit way more often than they miss.
Yeah, even Tomino, as we were talking about, we've determined that Tomino is great when he is depressed, because he makes awesome things like, Original Gundam and Space Runaway Ideon. It's just when he's happy he makes garbage like Brain Powered and Overman King Gainer.
Yes. That's right. Wow. I mean, Rintaro goes from...
I think he just flips a coin, to be honest.
Yeah, Rintaro goes from Metropolis to X 1999.
Yeah.
Kawajiri will go from Ninja Scroll and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust to... Actually, damn it, we could have mentioned Kawajiri.
Actually, Kawajiri's pretty awesome, too.
So
anything he touches, if not gold, is good.
Yeah. So, we've given them a lot of great people to look into.
Yeah.
John, thank you for your question.
And if your bet was to win money, we will be expecting our cut.
Yes, we have earned a cut, which Mike will probably spend on his recommendation that I know nothing about.
Yes. Since we were talking about Obscure Sunrise series, I thought I'd depart from that by discussing an Obscure Sunrise series. I'm going to talk to you very briefly about Giant Gorg. This is a really fun one. It's sort of... It's 80s Gigantor, but in a way that isn't Giant Robo. Basically, you have these kids, this professor, and a whole other crazy cast of characters go off to this island that, I forget the specifics to be perfectly honest, but there's something special about it, and this big bad corporation wants to develop and take over the place and use it to their evil ends. And so they go there, and they find this big blue robot, and they blow up shit and go on adventures, and they have one of the best theme songs ever. And the reason that I don't know much about it is because the fan servers won't get off their asses and do past episode 9.
And to tell the truth, I just like the mecha designs. Mike has a couple of figures, and they look really cool. I mean, it's got that great sort of quasi-knight, but still real Robo look to it.
Yeah.
So, I can recommend it based on that.
And main thing is just, watch the first episode and you will be hooked. It's everything that can happen happens in the first episode. You have, crazy, fateful meeting of characters. You have a robot destroying a building. You have a chase scene. You just have everything in that first episode. Everything that can happen does happen. And from what little I've seen, the series more or less continues on that way.
Yeah.
So, any fan subgroups, please complete Giant Gorg. It's awesome and deserves your attention.
Yes. It deserves almost as much attention as finally getting me a DVD of Maytel Legend. And with that,
It is time to end.
it's time to end. So, from all of us here at Maison Otaku
This is Mike,
and Justin saying, enjoy what you watch.
and share what you enjoy.